This reminds me of what's going on college campuses across the country. These idiots across the country are literally hell-bent on supporting pro-Hamas lunatics in Gaza, going after Jews with this Jew-hating rhetoric. I actually think they hate capitalism, they hate America, and this is all part of the Antifa model. But why aren't they out there protesting what's going on with the Uyghur Muslims? Why aren't they out there protesting China and rallying in support of those that are being oppressed in a country like China? Or Boko Haram, a terror group that takes schoolgirls by the hundreds, rapes and murders them and takes them hostage. We don't see anything like that. So they'll ignore many of this, and the fish rots from the head. They ignore it because you know who else ignores it? Washington, D.C. Don't say anything about it.
Grant, an interesting detail that can be shared with our audience and with you today is that if you look at Antony Blinken's visit in China last week, Hamas was also doing quote unquote peaceful talks with Beijing at the same time. And so when President Xi was shaking hands with Antony Blinken, Hamas and Fatah was also holding conversations in Beijing. Yeah. And this exactly tells you about CCP's attitudes and the dark hands behind all of the Middle East crisis here today. And if you look at all of the protests, among the schools and the institutions here in our country, the problem here today is that if you hate capitalism, if you hate America, why don't you immigrate to China? Why don't you immigrate to Venezuela, to a communist nation, right? And if you want to support Hamas, the best way was not to protest in a school like this. If you think that your ideologies are identical to Hamas, then you should ask, why would the Communist Party continue to fund and send over military logistics to Hamas, in the past several months? The problem here today is that all of the social chaos that you saw here today aligns with the same interests of this Chinese Communist Party.
Of course it does.
They're anti-Jews, they're anti-white. The vaccination project was designed for eliminating the Jewish and for eliminating the white people in the planet. This exactly aligns the interests of the CCP.